Hey folks, it's Marvin Cash, the host of The Articulate Fly, and we're back with another Central Virginia fishing report with Ethan Martin at TaleTellers Fly Shop. How you doing, Ethan?
I'm doing great today. How you doing, Marvin?
As always, just trying to stay out of trouble. And, I was up in your neck of the woods for spring break, and I left a little bit early. And I think after I left, you guys had to build Noah's Ark again.
Yeah, I guess we should have made you stay because we had some really good weather, last week before, Wednesday, and then the rains came and everything kind of rose and chilled off a bit, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Everything kind of chilling off a little bit because it did get pretty toasty. We had 3 days that were like 80 degrees Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So this is a little bit more normal spring that we're in now. So I'll take it.
Yeah, as long as you don't want to get in a big river and go fish for smallmouth, right?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I fished a good bit the past 2 weeks and fished on the James a fair amount. And the pre-spawn bite, if you're the type of person that like only wants to throw flies, the pre-spawn bite is really hard on the James just because those fish are so deep. So when you get torrential downpours like what we've got right now, it just makes it super hard to do with a fly rod. So I know like there's guys, I've got buddies that are going out and fishing and they'll catch 4, 5, 6 pound smallmouth. But the vast majority of those guys are throwing conventional. So I say that to the people that, I think it's funny with social media and Instagram, a lot of people follow the same people, and like, so they see this one guy who posts like 6 fish and they're like, oh man, the smallmouth is just on fire right now, preseason. And in reality, it is not on fire right now. Like there's a handful of guys that know how to catch fish in these conditions. And they're doing well, on, like the James. But that is not to be said of everybody that goes out that you're just going to slay a 5 pound pre-spawn smallmouth.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I guess really the game is probably lakes and ponds for largemouth pre-spawn and for panfish, and then probably head to the mountains and do a little trout fishing. Yeah,
you got it. Pretty much nose on right there. I like a lot of lake fishing, especially this time of the year because you can accidentally catch a big largemouth, and so that's one of the cool things. Whereas with smallmouth, it does require a little bit more knowledge, like where to go, where to fish for them, what water level are they. A lot of times with the pre-spawn largemouth, like I said, you can kind of luck into them. I fished yesterday on one of our small, we just call them county lakes, and water temps were good. They were like 62, 63 degrees in the sun, that's good for this time of the year. And those largemouth were up like towards the bank, so it made with the fly it was pretty straightforward, just pound the banks, and fish were there. Didn't see any fish like bedding or anything like that. I'm sure there could have been a couple that were thinking about spawning early, but if you really want to pound fish, the brook trout, like small stream stuff, has been heating up. I was out on Sunday in the afternoon showing a guy how to fish, and the dude had never cast a fly ever, and we did pretty well. I didn't even have to show him much, which was nice, because a lot of times, brook trout fishing, it's like, are you going to hang in a tree? Are you going to do? But yeah, the fish were very willing to take a fly. We had really good flows. Our bugs in this part of Virginia are really coming on strong. So yeah, in terms of like Central Virginia, the area, within an hour and a half around the shop, or hour, if you want to be more specific, you could definitely be catching some brook trout this weekend.
Yeah, which dovetails really well with our question from Caleb, and he wanted to get your suggestions on patterns for high mountain streams.
Yeah, in terms of the actual patterns, there's 3 things that I look for. To be honest, this is how the list goes in like importance to me. One is, can I see the fly? I don't like fishing brook trout flies that I can't see. I'm kind of blind, but it's just one of those confidence things. Like if I can't see where that fly's at, then you're going to miss fish. And brook trout eat with such crazy speed as it is, that when you are kind of guessing where your fly is, it makes it more difficult than it needs to be. So when I'm looking at like brook trout patterns, one, the thing I always ask is, can I see the fly myself? Two is, does the fly float well? So like some flies naturally float better than others. So for example, there's a pattern called like the never sink caddis. That pattern, just like the name suggests, it doesn't hardly sink. You can get it to sink if you catch enough fish, but it's got foam incorporated into it. So for brook trout, that's another thing I do like, either deer hair or elk hair or foam, some way that like helps the fly to float longer. That is another cool benefit, because it means that I have to change flies less. If you just go up there with like a normal Adams, you'll catch fish, or a normal like Royal Coachman, you're going to catch fish. But for me, I like to be able to see it. I like for it to float as long as possible, so that way I can just focus on catching fish rather than applying, magic dust or loon dust or whatever to the fly a million times throughout the day. And then the third thing that I look for is like, are the fish going to eat the thing? So typically, how I focus on like patterns and stuff is I look at colors. Through the winter months, I'm using darker colors. From spring really through summer, I use brighter colored, more attractive style bugs. So like on Sunday, that was the first day that we showed up with some yellow, there were never sink caddises, and the fish really started pounding them. And kind of like what we were joking about before the podcast started, it was just like, when it comes to brook trout patterns, they're not crazy picky most of the time. And so if you show up and you've got 3 or 4 patterns that, whatever local fly shop told you to go with, you just kind of cycle through your colors. And right now, one of the colors that you're going to be working is yellow or like a bright orange. Those are 2 really good kind of generic looking colors. And you might ask like, well, what is that actually looking like? The answer is like yellow sallies, and there's a lot of mayflies actually that hatch, and when they first hatch, they have a lighter tone to them. And so what we've been seeing, especially like the past couple of days, has been our yellow sallies are actually like, saw a couple on Sunday. I talked to a few other anglers that saw them throughout their weekend where they were fishing, which was all Central Virginia. And so it's a little early just to be saying you're going to have these crazy patches of yellow sallies, which is, it kind of looks like a small stonefly. And they're just like pale yellow. But that's one of the reasons I think that yellow works so well. It's just because there's a lot of natural insects out there. It is a high visibility color for the trout. If they're looking up, they can see it well. So yeah, if I had like 3 patterns that I'd go out with this weekend, if you had a never sink caddis in yellow, or if you had literally just an elk hair caddis in yellow or tan, maybe orange, and then in the third one, there was a pattern. I love the thing, and we've sold all of them, and I can't get any more in. But it was called a 409, and last year I think we sold like 24 dozen of those. Like, it was crazy because they fit everything that I like, which was like, you can see it, they float well, and the fish like obliterated those. So if you like tying, somebody's probably done a tying video on that, which it's like Jaeger's 409, pattern Uncle puts out. But that's a sweet fly. If you can get it or if you can tie it, we'll hopefully get more in stock one day. That's what like every fly shop feels like, I guess, right now. It's like, well, this odd thing went out of stock, but hopefully, it comes back in. But yeah, that's what I would point to in terms of like my favorite styles of brook trout, like dry flies in particular.
Good deal. And folks, we love questions on the articulate fly. You can send them to us. You can email them to us. You can send them to us on our Facebook or Instagram page. If we use your question, I'll send you some articulate fly swag, and we'll enter you into a drawing for something cool from the shop at the end of the season. And Ethan, before I let you hop, why don't you let folks know where they can find you and where you are online and all that kind of good stuff?
Yeah, so we're in downtown Lynchburg. We're on Commerce Street. If you are just in our neck of the woods, we are here pretty much every day except Sunday. If you can't make it to the shop, then a couple different avenues. You can look on our website, which is TaleTellers DA, like Virginia. You can find most of what we have in stock on the website. There's where we link stuff like tutorials, some other stuff like that as well. You can find on our website. And then Instagram, that's one of the more popular ways that people get in contact with us. So if you've got a question, just shoot us a message on Instagram or email or call us if you're, old school, or stop in the shop if you want to see my smiling face.
Yeah, there you go. Well, folks, nice spring weather in Central Virginia. Either go fish a lake or a pond and chase some bass or sunfish, or head to the mountains and catch a few. Tight lines, everybody. Tight lines, Ethan.
Tight lines.